The episode kicks off in a highly dangerous and suspenseful dungeon environment. The hero's party is in the middle of a fierce battle against a fearsome dungeon boss and its dangerous minions. The leader of this party is Masayuki. During the fight, a deadly monster charges straight at Masayuki. He completely panics and is just trying to save his own skin. But his teammates totally misunderstand this and think it's a master plan. They assume Masayuki deliberately lured the monster to himself, so they could surround it for a tactical pincer attack. Fired up, Jinrai and the rest of the team unleash their powerful attacks and start taking down the monsters. Suddenly, the ferocious boss monster turns around and lunges at team member Jiwoo with a terrifying attack. Jiwoo is in serious danger with nowhere to run. Seeing this, Masayuki heroically dashes forward to save her. But right then, his foot catches on something and he trips, falling flat on his face in the most comical way possible. As he falls, his sword snaps, and a broken piece flies like a rocket straight into the boss's neck. The boss drops dead right then and there. Masayuki himself has no idea what just happened, but his team thinks it was all part of a perfect calculation. Everyone looks at him like the ultimate hero, and once again, his insane luck makes him look legendary. The scene cuts, and we head outside the dungeon to the city. The whole town is in a festive mood, and Masayuki's name is echoing everywhere. Right in the middle of the city, an announcer is shouting at the top of his lungs, telling everyone that our hero Masayuki has successfully cleared the 30th floor of the dungeon. And to celebrate, brand new Masayuki merch is flying off the shelves in the markets. Piping hot and delicious Masayuki buns are selling like crazy. Rimuru also jokes around with Masayuki in a hall, calling him hero number 1, while a highly embarrassed Masayuki begs him to stop teasing him. After this, Rimuru and Majolmile discuss the dungeon's massive success. Majolmile thanks Masayuki for some of his highly successful suggestions. For instance, he mentions how the rest area and town built on the 95th floor is a huge hit among adventurers. People get so exhausted in the depths of the dungeon that finding warm food and a safe haven down there makes them go crazy with happiness. Just then, Rimuru brings up a specific adventurer team, Team Green Fury. This new team is advancing at an insane speed and has cleared 20 floors in just 3 days. Hearing this, Ramirez gets instantly furious and asks if they should send a deadly monster to crush Green Fury. But Rimuru flat out refuses. He explains that they aren't actually cheating. Their leader is an elementalist who is simply asking the dungeon spirits for the correct path, something Raphael had informed him about. Rimuru adds that the more powerful and popular teams get in the dungeon, the more curiosity and hype it will generate among people worldwide. Majolmile happily reports that Tempest's profits are skyrocketing. Hearing the mention of money, Ramirez and Veldora's eyes light up. Rimuru explains the dungeon's rule to them: when you do good work, you also get a share of the profits. Rimuru then mentions that there are various research labs on the bottom floor of the dungeon, including his own. He heads to his private research lab, where he peacefully works in isolation, creating powerful vessels for Diablo's subordinates and physical bodies for trainee sisters. Rimuru gets so absorbed in his research that he doesn't step out of the lab for days. Finally, Shuna and Shion arrive. Shuna is carrying a tray of warm food for him. Seeing Rimuru, she sighs in relief and says everyone outside was getting really worried. She also drops a crucial update. Majolmile has been frantically searching the whole city for him, meaning a huge problem has probably popped up. When a sweating Majolmile tells Rimuru about a massive issue in the dungeon, Rimuru doesn't waste a single second and rushes to the main control room. There he closely observes Team Green Fury's actions on the giant magic screen. Ramirez, looking extremely serious and angry, tells Rimuru that the glowing gadget in the hands of Green Fury's leader is a recording crystal. It basically works like a save point inside the dungeon, exactly like in a video game. Ramirez explains that Team Green Fury has found a massive loophole in the system. When they reach a boss floor, all party members use the recording crystal to create a save point before going in. Then they use a return whistle to exit the dungeon and completely disband their party. After that, every single member forms their own individual party up to the 10-member limit and warps their new teams right back to that saved point before the boss room. Because of this, the dungeon's automated system gets tricked into thinking that a brand new party has defeated the boss for the first time. Thanks to this glitch, the system keeps handing out massive first-tier treasures and rewards over and over again. Hearing this explanation, Majolmile falls into deep thought. He shares his suspicion that Team Green Fury couldn't possibly afford such advanced gadgets and have that kind of money on their own. He had Suka investigate and found out that they are actually part of a mercenary group named Vert from Ingracia. This proves that wealthy nobles from the Ingrassia kingdom are heavily funding them behind the scenes. Rimuru swears that he's going to teach these gadget-using hackers such a brutal lesson that they'll never dare to cheat again in their lives. The discussion about Green Fury's cunning tricks had barely ended when another massive headache stands before Rimuru. A frantic Njulmile and Ramirez inform him that it's not just hackers in the dungeon, Hinata has infiltrated it too. Relying on her terrifying strength alone, Hinata smashed her way all the way down to the 90th floor, destroying everything in her path. This happened right after the Crusader elites lost to the Demon Colossus, where Fritz claimed that even Chief Hinata couldn't defeat it. Well, Hinata proved him wrong by completely trashing Ramirez's special Colossus robot. She also brutally defeated Apito along with the other Floor Guardians, and even Milim's dragons couldn't stand a chance against her. But the real fun in this tale of destruction begins when the great storm dragon Veldora enters the chat. Veldora proudly brags, saying that Hinata caused a lot of chaos, but then it was his turn. He explains that Hinata tried using all sorts of patterns and tricks to figure out his weakness, but in doing so, she ended up wasting a ton of time and moves. Her final attack did manage to give him a tiny scratch, which actually reminded him of the absolute severance attack used by the hero from 300 years ago. Looking back, Veldora notes that Hinata's techniques felt very similar to that hero's. After Hinata's path of destruction, the dungeon floors desperately needed fixing. For this task, Rimuru's eyes fall on Adalman. Even though Adalman is incredibly strong, his crushing defeat at the hands of the Crusaders had completely shattered him from the inside. That's why he bows his head straight to Rimuru, offering to fully accept whatever punishment he deserves for his loss. But Rimuru, in his calm and understanding way, explains to Adalman that the defeat wasn't entirely his fault. The truth was, those holy knights were just the absolute worst possible matchup for him. Rimuru then drops some deep knowledge about how holy magic actually works. He explains that this power runs on faith and pure conviction, requiring a spiritual contract. Because Adalman's worship and faith had shifted entirely toward Rimuru, his old connection had broken, making him unable to borrow Luminous's power. Shuna chimes in, mentioning that she had successfully copied holy magic using her analyst skill because her faith was fully placed in Rimuru. Taking this concept, Rimuru personally crafts a brand new spell for Adalman called the Secret of Faith and Grace. Thanks to this spell, even as an undead wight, Adalman could now use holy power without taking any damage himself. When Adalman casts Holy Ray with his own hands for the first time, all his lost confidence instantly comes rushing back. He basically starts treating Rimuru like his actual god, and this extreme level of devotion leaves Rimuru feeling a little awkward inside. Rimuru then promotes him to the new boss of Floor 60, giving him a proper throne room so he can become a true unshakable pillar of the dungeon. He also grants him full permission to enlist the help of his old comrades. Right then, Milim suddenly crashes in from the sky. She is absolutely furious because all her dragons got defeated in the dungeon. Meanwhile, Gopta comes crawling and dragging himself into the room. He looks half dead after Milim's hellish training. In a trembling voice, Gopta says, "Master, I have returned." Veldora offers to teach Gopta his own techniques, but Milim immediately shuts him down, declaring that Gopta is her student. Ranga also pops out to greet Rimuru, and Rimuru tells him to go rest in his shadow. Veldora then announces that Team Green Fury has just cleared the 40th floor. Rimuru flashes a wicked smile and says, "The time has come to teach them a lesson." Rimuru places some highly special magical items on a table in front of the three of them. First, he shows a glowing magical orb and introduces it as a master core. With a deep smirk, Rimuru tells them to picture their absolute favorite monster in their heads. He warns them to choose carefully, because once picked, they won't be able to change it under any circumstances. Hearing this, Veldora, Milim, Ramirez and Rimuru all think of their monsters, and boom, those monsters physically manifest right there. Seeing this, Ramirez and Veldora jump around with joy like little kids. Rimuru, however, gets completely embarrassed seeing Milim's choice, a slime. Seeing their excitement, Rimuru pulls out his next creation, which he calls a pseudo-soul. Rimuru suddenly yells, "Possess," and instantly passes out on the floor. Veldora and the others completely panic until they see Rimuru speaking from inside the ghost monster he just created. Rimuru explains with full focus that these pseudo-souls function exactly like a real soul. When this pseudo-soul is inserted into the master core, it becomes a beating magical heart known as an avatar core. Seeing this, the group's happiness knows no bounds. Everyone quickly transfers their consciousness into their respective monsters and starts dancing with joy. Pumped up, Veldora yells, "Let's go teach those challengers a lesson." But cut to the next scene, and we find out that Rimuru's overpowered party was easily wiped out by some random rookie adventurers who just mock them and casually move on. Rimuru yells out in frustration that they are going to need a lot of training. And with that hilarious defeat, this amazing episode comes to an end. If you loved this explanation, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel.